I'm speaking with Guenther Steiner, a regular figure here on Speed City Radio, and he is, of course, the team principal for the only American-owned team in the Formula One World Championship, Haas Formula One. Guenther, under the circumstances, we're very grateful for you agreeing to spend some time with us.
No, happy to be here and to explain you things if you need to know them, so always happy to be with you guys.
Great, thank you. We'll get to testing in a moment, but obviously the pressing question is the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Your team, sponsored by a Russian company, you acted very quickly to remove the Uralkali sponsorship from the car, the transporter, your social media sites, and Formula One has followed your lead, one might say, by saying that the Russian Grand Prix is off for now. Events are spiraling along very quickly. What can you tell us about how the decision was arrived at to remove the sponsorship from your vehicles?
Yesterday morning, as we got up, Gene and I were at breakfast and we discussed the situation. What happened during the night, and we just discussed it and talked it through, and then you digest it. And then when we got into the truck, basically, some of the partners told us they were behind us, but obviously unhappy with the situation, and sat down with Gene and we just decided to take it off. It was very, very simple because I think that is what we should have done and have done.
Gene Haas being the team owner, of course. What has been the reaction up and down the pit lane there in Barcelona?
I think everybody supports us. Everybody supports the action. We didn't have any negatives from it.
Excellent. You have told the press that there are legal issues to be sorted out next week. Can we imply from that this may mean the end of your relationship with Uralkali and by extension with Nikita Mazepin's association with the team?
I cannot go into that, Bob, obviously because there are contractual issues we need to sort, and I think we need to speak with the Uralkali guys about it, and then we come up with a solution. There is always a solution to be found, so I wouldn't like to comment on that one right now.
Okay. We see from the news broadcast that there is apparently significant blowback to the Russian government from their actions in Ukraine. Does Uralkali have a position about the whole thing, pro or con?
No, they didn't send out anything, and they had no position to communicate.
Okay, well, good luck with that going forward. Right now, let's move on to what you've been able to accomplish during this first week of preseason testing. How is the new car working for you?
Oh, we got off a little bit a rocky start on the first day of testing. We had some gremlins in the car, very small issues, which cost us a lot of time. The first morning we were ready to go out, and then we discovered that a fuel leak in the fuel tank. Strange as that sound, but the pressure wasn't right, so the engine guys do not want to operate the engine. Going into the fuel system always costs time. Then we went out, did a few laps, trying to understand the aerodynamics, the ground effect, and so on. And then we had a leak of one of the cooling systems, which again took us a few hours to fix. It was a very simplistic fault. A pipe wasn't done properly, and then we spent some time to understand how the car behaves aerodynamically more than anything else. The floor, because ground effect floor, it's completely different than what we had last year, or the last years, not only last year. So that took a little bit of time, but I think we made good progress. Then the second day was actually pretty good. We were out there, got understanding, got in a good movement of doing working through things, and both drivers did quite good laps. And then this morning, unfortunately, we went out and had an oil leak on the engine, on the wrong side of the engine, basically the side towards the chassis, where you have to take the whole engine out. You have to take the gearbox first out and the engine. We took it out. It happened after 6 or 7 laps in the morning. Then everything was back together at 3 o'clock. But then the surprise was it wasn't any better. And then we had to call it a day. So basically, today we learned very little, unfortunately. But the good thing is, I think with the running yesterday, we have got a much better understanding how this car behaves. So we can do in the next 10 days to get prepared for Bahrain a lot of homework with simulations. The guys, the engineers going through stuff. The mechanics learned a lot because they had to do so much work on the car. It's a complete new car. And the only way to learn to work quicker on these cars is to do it. You know, you cannot read a paper about it. I mean, if you have taken an engine out 20 times, they get pretty quick. The first time takes a long time because they need to get used to it. So we have been a little bit through that one. I just tried to get a few positives into this, but in general, I'm actually already looking forward to the test in Bahrain because with the progress we made yesterday, we made big steps yesterday. So I think there is still quite a few big steps in the car from the performance side of it.
Well, you know even better than I do that if you're going to have problems, testing is when to have them and not during race weekends. It sounds like a lot of the problems you've been having are what you might call typical new car blues, you know, a loose fitting here, a leak there, not something fundamentally wrong with the race car. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say. There was no problem with the system or something like this. It was really, you know, in 2022, this small problem should not happen, but they always happen. You know, you always get caught out by the 50-cent piece.
On day one, Mick Schumacher had trouble with damage to the under tray, and there's been a lot of talk about aerodynamic porpoising as teams get used to using Venturi tunnels rather than upper car aerodynamics, if I can call them that. Have you experienced that porpoising effect, and do you have a solution in mind?
Yeah, that was I meant with the aerodynamic development. You know, we found solutions to it, and you found a solution how to make it work because when the car starts to bounce, it's undrivable. But we found solution for that one, and now you need to work backwards. How can you get, because obviously by fixing this problem, you lose performance, but how can you go back to get the performance back into the car, you know? And that is where we made good progress yesterday. And we put some parts on this morning where we could see on the data that we are the right direction. Unfortunately, we couldn't go through the whole test program, but we have got quite a lot of stuff in the pipeline where we think we can make the car better because we understand it a lot better now.
This car is the product of the new in-depth association, I guess we'd call it, between the Haas team and Ferrari, with a couple of dozen employees working out of an office at the Ferrari base in Maranello. How's the communication and integration of those two branches of your company working out thus far?
I need to clarify something. It's not the Ferrari guys. They work for us because it's
they are
clearly
Haas guys, right?
Yeah. No. It's just like I didn't want that the FIA listens into this and think we work together. You know, we've got our own offices, and it's more than 30 people which are either employed by us, ex-Ferrari people, or they are seconded to us. But no, the collaboration goes well, and there is not a big change. It's just the office space we use is different. Before we used space and people from the Lara. Now we still use the Lara, but it's just less people in the Lara. The Lara still does a lot of manufacturing for us, but we use a lot more people in Maranello in the facility within the Ferrari compound, because there was an office they had planned before the budget cap, and now it was free, so it's always good to have a safe office in there. So therefore we moved in there. Otherwise, we would have to find an office outside. But no, it is working good. There is always margin for improvement in these things. Communication is always communication comes over time. You can force it to people, but the thing you need is time as well. So that is what we're going through. But you know, we have work to do, but I'm not unhappy about it.
Thank you for that correction. That was my mistake about your employees. You decided to simply wash out the 2021 season, do no improvements to that car, which was essentially 2 years old already, in order to devote all your resources to the 2022 all-new car. Have the results thus far validated that decision in your mind?
Too early to say, but for sure it was the right decision because the 21 car, whatever we would have done with it, it wouldn't have got a lot better because, as you said, it was a 2-year-old car. It wasn't a 1-year-old car, and to catch up 2 years and 6 months with new people is impossible. And then you still have to produce the parts, and with a budget cap in place, then you don't have the money to invest in the 22 car, which is the future of F1. So how good it is, I don't know performance-wise, but for sure it was the right decision to do for our mid and long-term future.
You have told the press that the finances of the team are okay, was the word you used. Does that mean that the team has been successful in developing a budget base and additional sponsorships and so forth, so that if Uralkali for some reason is not with you in the future, the team will still be all right?
Yeah, the team will be all right. The team is all right, not will be, it is all right. And obviously we need to find replacements, but I think in the moment the sponsorship market is not too bad, so we just need to work and find it. But in the moment we are very stable and properly financed.
If Nikita Mazepin cannot continue with the team for whatever reason, do you turn to your reserve driver, Pietro Fittipaldi, or do you have any other plan?
No, if Nikita couldn't drive for one or another reason, the first call would go to Pietro. Obviously, he's with us for a few years, and then we would see what we do next. But I mean, Pietro's always around with us for the reason. I mean, the last years we needed a reserve driver with COVID, having COVID around, so he's always around. He knows the team, he knows the car. To jump in from one day to the other, there is nobody better than Pietro around in the moment.
Turning to a completely different subject, in a very publicized move, Michael Andretti has made application to start a Formula One team from scratch. It sounds from the media reports as though up and down the pit lane there are mixed reactions to an Andretti, a second American team, if you will, coming into the sport. What are your thoughts about Michael's desire to start a Formula One team?
I think Michael wants a Formula One team. He tried last year to buy Sauber, which was not successful, and now he tries this way. I don't know how these days the FIA process works to get a license. I know the FOM process. You need to pay for your license, and FOM will decide with the teams together, what to do. I mean, in the end, it's a decision of the FOM what to do and not the teams, but for sure the teams will have an opinion because it impacts everybody, because the revenue will be split between more people or between more teams. So obviously decreasing. So I don't think everybody will be happy about that. And I mean, I wait with my opinion until it's all official and we speak about officially how this is moving forward, because up to now, I didn't see anything internally from FIA or from official to the teams anyway. So I haven't spoken with Michael.
Getting back to the car, you're running on the new Pirelli 18-inch tires and wheels. How is that working out? What are your thoughts on the new tire profile?
Up to now, it seems to be quite a good step forward. A lot less complaining about tires like in the old days. Obviously, we haven't been running really hard yet. I think nobody's running really hard yet. But for having a complete new tire, I think it is okay, because I didn't have a lot of complaints. It seems to be a lot more stable, not degrading this much as the old tire. I think we need a few more test days to come to a complete solution of it.
The next test is what, 3 weeks away in Bahrain. Given all the problems you've had, large or small, do you anticipate being at full strength for the second and final Formula One preseason test?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just need to regroup now. I mean, we obviously with time we get more spare parts together. We get everything more organized. We learn quite good lessons here, especially about the aerodynamics. And I'm sure we will be as best prepared as we can. Obviously, there always can be a little surprise with some problems, but for sure, the second test you're better prepared because you run the car already and you know a lot of the things you need to look after.
We spoke with Mick Schumacher yesterday. He seems very optimistic about the future, given what he felt in the car, limited laps in the morning, but he has gotten up around, I guess, 70 or 80 laps in the car in testing thus far. Do you share that optimism? Do you see light at the end of the tunnel, as it were?
Yeah, no. Both drivers were very optimistic because the car apparently behaves well. We just need to get a little bit more performance in, but we know that we haven't unleashed everything yet what is in there because we tested this aerodynamic issue we had, but we found solutions, and now we need to get more performance out from the car. But both of the drivers said the car, there is very good potential. And for example, setup work, we haven't done any real setup work yet because we just didn't have the time on the track to do that. And with that one, you still get good time out if you have a complete new car with no testing and no experience with it. So obviously I'm optimistic, but also the other ones will have a very similar situation. They will keep on unleashing performance of the cars.
Mm-hmm. Going back to last season, everything ended on a sour note with the race in Abu Dhabi and the subsequent release of Michael Massey from his race director job. I know you're very good at keeping your head down politically and carrying on with the job, but there is a new regimen in order in which we will rotate race directors going forward. Is this an acceptable solution in your view?
I think it's the best solution for the time now, because and then we see how that works, and then maybe there are some more adjustments coming. It's also a difficult position. A new FIA president came in, so he needs to get his feet under the table properly. And but there was something done with the race director, and I think it is good for Michael not to be in the shooting line anymore. He still is with FIA. He's still doing a job because I think he's a valid member of FIA. It's just a different job, and sometimes it's better to make a step back to make maybe two forward. And I think that is what has happened, because after last year, after all the criticism he received, it will be very difficult to make a comeback, without the stress. I mean, because if it happens again on the first race he does coming back, that wouldn't be very good for anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. The final question, there's nothing new under the sun, but this is one of the most extraordinary beginnings to a Formula One season in the decades I've been covering it, with brand new clean sheet of paper cars, the violence and disruption on the international scene, political issues, administrative issues, so on and so forth. Could you ever imagine you would find yourself and your sport in this situation heading out into a brand new season?
No. No, and I didn't wish, this is not what you wish for, It's just like things happen where they are not in our control. I mean, having a new regulation, I think it's not a bad thing for Formula One, because if you look at the cars now, I think they're very nice. And I think we already got used to them, and that means they're nice, because if they wouldn't be nice, we would be all critiquing them. So I think nobody had anything to critique. There's a lot of different designs out. And as I said before, the political situation, I have nothing to do with it. I just have to live it like everybody else.
All right. Thank you for proving my point. Guenther Steiner with Haas F1, thank you very much for your time. Good luck with the next round of testing and off into the new season.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.